Okay, welcome everyone to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on October 4th, 2017. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. So let's start off as usual by taking a look at our Forex factory calendar here. In terms of the data, there wasn't a whole lot that came out today. We had manufacturing PMI numbers for British pound that they were negative. So lately, some of the data that has been coming out for the British pound has been negative, and as a result of that, we have seen the British pound go down. But other than that, we had GDP price index for New Zealand, but excuse me, sorry. So that was it. So coming up on Wednesday, we have a lot of stuff, a lot of activity. Starting off, we have services PMI number for British pound, and then we have ADP non-farm employment change. So this number is kind of a precursor to the number that comes out on Friday, the actual non-farm payroll number that comes out. And generally, that non-farm number moves the market. So this one still has some impact on the market. So if it's positive, it won't have a huge impact, but if it's negative, it will have an impact because then it kind of sets the pace for a negative number on Friday. And then we have non-manufacturing PMI numbers for the US crude oil inventories. We have two central bankers speaking tomorrow. Again, so a lot of activity in the New York session, so we'll have to be careful here. And then for Australia, we have retail sales and trade balance number coming out. So let's move on to the charts here. We are looking at Euro US dollar here. So Euro closed with a very neutral candle. So we have pins on both sides, small candle body, very, very neutral close for the day. So it has, so it's kind of came into this previous support and resistance level. Excuse me, sorry. But it could not break below the 1680 level. So this is our 1680 level, could not break below that. Now it's neutral. And so what that means is that it can pull back. So in terms of the pullback, there are a couple of different options. First is right into this support and resistance into 1780. So that will be the first target. And the second target will be this one. So this right here, 1830-ish area. So what we're looking for price to do basically, because there is no clear, so this is neutral, so it can go either way essentially, but since we have come into support here and price does not seem willing to go lower yet, well, that means that it may go higher, it may do one of these, or it could go even higher and do one of these. So that's what we need to see. The closer we get to the big non-farm payroll number, the usually, you know, the worse it will be for the US dollar because everybody's expecting sort of negative data. So that's the case. So we'll mark those two levels, 1.1780 and 1.1837 level. So if you look at the 1 hour, this is where it lines up. So this is the previous support and resistance area. It also lines up with our R1. So sorry. So that's why we could get one of these moves. So that will be the first level for test. And then second one is this. This is what we're looking at. So slightly lower. Actually, we can adjust our support and resistance a little bit, go all the way down into here. So this is an important support and resistance. So 1.1830 is the second level for our test. But this is the first one, 1.1780. So right now it's getting pushed up quite quickly. So let me just quickly go take a look if there was news. Really not much news. Okay. Just foreign reserves declining. All right, so that's for euro. Looking at the pound now. Pound had the most move. So if you take a look here in terms of the daily, Euro US dollar, we didn't have a big move to the downside. Pound was the one that had the biggest move. So excuse me. So in this case, pound is more bearish. So euro pound is more bullish at this point right now. So fast that euro pound positive is good because euro is positive and British pound is less bullish at the moment. So this is what we have right now. We are into this level, this previous support and resistance level we had looked at yesterday, hasn't been able to break it yet. The bias is still to the downside, but now we are running into support. So which means it can bounce off of this level because it is a good support and resistance level. The bias is still to the downside, so I am looking for a further move. But if it doesn't break this 132.20 level, then we're likely to see more of a push up. So if everything lines up to the upside, this may not go down either. So all the US crosses may line up. So right now, they were not lined up today. We had pound that was down, euro that was a little bit more bullish, and then commodity currencies. We had Aussie turned a bit bullish there, and dollar CAD got bearish. So there is no alignment at this moment. So we need to figure out which way things are going to line up. So right now it looks like they're pushing upwards. So for pound, if everything else lines up in a bullish way, so dollar gets weakened, that means pound dollar will likely go up as well. And that's why we have to be careful with this. So 1.3220 will be the test. If it doesn't break that, we're looking for a move back into 132.90 and then likely even further into 133.20. So that will be our target to the upside. But if it does break 132.20 to the downside, our next target is 131.50 level right here. Aussie US dollar, Aussie is pushing up quite strongly. So it looks like something happened in the market. And I haven't looked at my news feed, so I'm not sure why, because this is a very quick move to the upside, very inefficient move to the upside. So something happened here right now, but overall though, based on the daily market close here, that's a bullish pin bar. And as a result of that, we are looking for a further move to the upside. So Aussie overall, from fundamental perspective, is weak because Reserve Bank of Australia hasn't raised rates, and they kind of stood pat on their stance yesterday. But the commodity currencies are turning. New Zealand dollar, we had negative data come out, so New Zealand dollar took a hit. But dollar CAD and Aussie dollar So Aussie dollar turned bullish with the bullish pin bar. So we are looking for a further move up into 78.80 area over here. And in terms of pullback, looks like we're just taking off from there. So we did a test in the bottom here. Price hasn't been able to come back and break that. And now it's going into this level, but this is a better 78.80 level is a better support and resistance level. So that's where we're looking for price to get to. It could go a little bit higher into the top of this candle, which is 78.85, so it's not that far. So that's what we're looking at, but the daily close on this one is quite bullish. New Zealand dollar, so big inefficient move here. Generally the inefficient moves get filled, so we're likely to see it come down. But from daily close perspective, this is a bearish candle close. So in this one, we still see a weakness, and this is the pullback level I would be looking at, 71.80 level. So essentially, we're looking for price to go push into that area and then drop. So now, based on what we are seeing across the different pairs, they're not lined up at the moment because euro is going in one direction, pound is going in another direction, New Zealand in one direction, and Aussie in the other direction. So they're not lined up. So we do need to be careful with these ones, with the dollar crosses tomorrow, and see how they line up, because they may just all turn bullish because the US dollar may weaken. So in that case, even though New Zealand dollar may not move as much to the upside, but it will still kind of follow suit with all the other US dollar crosses, because US dollar itself may weaken as a result. So 71.80 will be the first test here. If the price stays below this level, this is a good support and resistance level. If the price stays below, then we're likely to see it come down. But if it breaks through, then we could see price go higher. So in that case, this is the first support and resistance. We're likely to see it go to 72.20 level, but it could go higher as well. So that's what we're looking at. Dollar CAD here, this is a trade I wanted to take today. This is a beautiful setup here. We have a bearish pin bar. Price tried to test this level for the last 4 days. Price tested this support and resistance level right here. it did not break it, and we have a really nice sort of bearish pin bar. It's tiny, but nonetheless bearish pin bar. So basically what this shows is that price is not likely to move higher. So this is the trade that I wanted to get into today, but it's moving already. And sometimes what happens is when the trades take off like that, they tend to fill the inefficiency. Like this one, it could fill this all the way back and come back all the way down here, or even into pivot point to do a test. So that is the challenge. That's why I don't want to enter it right now, but which also means that we could miss it. So basically what I'm looking for here is price to drop here into 124.20 level. So that will be the target here to the downside. And the pullback that I was looking for was a little bit higher. So I was looking for price to sort of go into this R1 level and then drop from there. So this is what I'm going to be keeping my eye on, 125.20 level. Not sure if we'll get there because we have moved quite a bit. So this opportunity may have gotten missed, but this is what I'm looking at, price to come back into this 124.20 area, into this support and resistance level, which is a nice support and resistance level. So overall, bearish on dollar CAD. Euro pound here, this looks quite bullish. Price has been making higher highs and higher lows, as we can see. So this is bullish, a very bullish candle close for the day. So we're looking for a further move to the upside. The target would be 89.20 here, back into this level. We may come into trouble at 0.8900. So we need to be mindful of that. But overall, looks quite bullish. And from 1 hour perspective, as you can see, this is a nice upward move here. So we are definitely looking quite bullish here. Price is holding above this previous support and resistance level, previous high, and it's starting to push upwards. So that looks quite bullish. Euro Swiss franc. Euro Swiss franc is really not doing much, not much movement on either side for the last few days. It's been stuck at this level. So not a good, it's a very neutral close. So not the best pair to trade at the moment. If we wanted to trade it, I would just look at it in this range. So 1.1470 level will be a potential sell. 1.1380 level would be a potential buy. So that's the range I would trade, but not the best setup for that. Pound Swiss franc, that's a bearish candle close, and looking for a follow through on that to the downside. First target would be 1.2850, which is not that far. And beyond that, we are looking at 1.2790, so about 12800, 12850, and then 12800 biases to the downside. Now, with this one, the question is, will it be able to break the bottom, right? If it does not break this support and resistance level, then chances are it could turn around again. So that's why this bottom of this pin, 12850, is the first profit target in this one. Dollar Swiss franc looks weak at the moment. Oh, that's a nice pin bar. This is a very nice pin bar. So this is another trade that just looks like US dollar is weakening at the moment. So this was another one that was on my radar with dollar CAD and dollar Swiss franc. So excuse me. So anyway, so this one it looks like it has moved early as well. Very nice bearish pin bar, looking for a further move to the downside into the bottom of this. So 96.80 level will be the target. And this is unfortunate that it has moved already, because ideally I would like a pullback into this support and resistance area, 97.50-ish level, and then we would be looking for a drop, but this is already moved. So now how do we trade this? It is quite a thin move, which means price could still pull back into either this previous support or resistance or into these levels. So I would keep an eye on them. So I would just drop a line about there and see if price comes closer to this. So kind of during the London session or later Asian session, we could get a pullback into this level. So this is the level I would definitely be interested in playing if the price stays below this. But based on this bearish candle close, we're looking for a further drop into 96.80 level. Pound yen, pound has been weak. Nice pin bar on this one as well, looking for a further move to the downside. Pound yen 148.30 level will be the target to the downside here. So looking for, yeah, so this is a nice support and resistance area. So I am looking for a further move to the downside on this one as well. So this is, this one looks good at the moment. So if we just take a look here, this is the, so from 4-hour perspective, this is what I was, I had dropped the chart in the trade room or in our chat there. So this is what I was looking at. So price has been making lower high. It has broken this level here. So it's holding below that. And now the big test was break of this previous level. This is where the price was really struggling, trying to break this level. So I'm looking for a break of that and then continuation further into this support and resistance, 148.33 level. So if you look at from the daily perspective, this is the support and resistance I'm looking for price to come down to. And if we just scale out a bit, so this here is an important support and resistance, which lines up with this. So that is the target we are looking at in terms of pound yen. So that's bearish. Let's take a look at euro yen. So euro is all over the place. Euro yen, just like euro Swiss, excuse me, in a bit of a range here for the last few days. It's traded in this range. So I would be careful with this one. There is no clear direction at this point. So price could basically come and test the bottom of this range and then bounce off of that. And if it goes and tests the high 133.20, it could bounce back into the middle of the range. So there is no clear direction in this one. I would treat this more as a range bound type of move. Aussie yen. Aussie yen, we did see a bullish candle, but we haven't broken out of this range for the last few days. And we are into the top of the range. So this one, since we are into the top of the range, this could come back into 87.94, so about 8,800 level. So I'm looking for price to bounce off of this level, but if it goes through it, if it breaks up to the upside, then we are looking for a further move up into this support resistance, into 8,900. But for now, my first bias is to the downside, basically trading the range and looking for price to bounce off of the top of the range, which is 88.50, and looking for price to come into the bottom here into 8,800. So that will be the first play. If price breaks above this, let's say Aussie gets quite bullish, price breaks above this, then I'm looking for 8,900 as the next place that the price goes to. And I think that's all. Euro Aussie here. This is bearish, so we're looking for price to come back down. It tested the top here. Now this is a nice doji here, looking for price to come down into 149.00. So that's all I have. Any questions? Okay, so dollar CAD, so Aussie dollar. We took a trade earlier in Aussie dollar, and so Aussie dollar trade from earlier today was not based on the daily candle close, because the daily candle does not close till 5 p.m. Eastern, which is just a few hours prior to where we are. So that one was based on our chart from earlier in the day. And so let me take a look. So this is what we were looking at, the chart, right? So as we can see, when the price stays below the pivot point, usually comes and tests the pivot point, it will likely drop to the bottom going into S1. So this is what happened the last few times price tested the pivot point. So when we came to our charts, I said that I like Aussie because it has stayed below the pivot point. So I was looking for a pullback into the pivot point. So when we took that trade, this is where we were. Price tested the pivot point, and we saw price close below the pivot point. So this is where I took that trade. So I was looking for price to continue lower. Now that did not happen. So instead, price started to hold above, and that's where I think, John, I was saying that price is holding below, holding above, so it could go to the next level. And so that's what it's pushed up. So what I was looking for was a pullback into the pivot point, so we could get out of that trade at break even. So that was my plan. But now price has gone upwards. I'm still in. I think my excuse me. I think my stop is at 55. So I'm kind of barely hanging on to my trade there. So based on the daily here, the trade is not valid anymore, right? I would not take that trade at this minute. So now what I'm looking for is just a pullback closer to the entry or closer to the pivot so I can reduce the loss. So that's where we are. So based on the daily close today, it has turned bullish. So I'm not looking for price to come to the profit target. I'm just looking for price to come back closer to this so that I can get out with negative 10 pips as opposed to 30 or whatever. So that's the game plan with that. And in terms of pound yen, I am bearish, so I'm still in this trade. I do want to see a concrete break of this level. So price has been playing with, see how price has been sitting low, and I like that. I like that price is sitting low, and I want to see a break of this support. So it hasn't broken out just yet, and I want to see a break, and my target is down into, I think, 148. Let's see where our target is. Tweets. Okay, so target is, yeah, so I'm still hanging in. My stop hasn't been hit on this pound yen. Target is 148.80. Yeah, so we're not trying to capture all of it, just trying to go till 148.80, which is a easier target to reach. So I'm looking for price to basically break below this because that will signal a further drop. So this one looks better, and I'm hanging on to that. So, but I do need to watch. So I'm going to keep an eye on this to see a break. I want to see a break here, then price to hold below this level and then continue further. But Aussie here, right now, all I'm looking for Aussie is to pull back closer. And so this was a little bit unexpected. A lot of buying came in all of a sudden across the US dollar, or selling across the US dollar, that pushed it up. So I'm just looking for price to kind of come back into somewhere here. If it doesn't break below this level, then I'm just going to take it out right here, because that will just be 9 pips as opposed to whatever, 20 or so, 20 or more pips here. So I'm just looking for it to pull back a little bit and then exit the trade. Not looking to take the profit in that. But I am interested in another couple pairs that I'm interested in is dollar yen. So if it could pull back a bit, or dollar CAD. Those two are good trades that I had on my radar, but I'm not sure if we can enter them just because price moved. So I'm looking for price to pull back in both of those. Yeah, those are just kind of dropped from there. So hopefully the pound yen will work. And if we get an opportunity of a pullback, we can get into these other ones. And let's keep an eye on them. Any questions? Any other questions? All right, so we will call it a wrap then. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.